Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and it feels very good to be back. This is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, hit the thumbs up button. Drop me a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You got to click the bell icon to know when I go live. Feels damn good to be back. Rashid, what's up, brother? Throwing a fist pump right at you with a glass of Habiki. Yeah, been out unexpectedly. Had some things going on. Don't really want to get into it, but just took a little hiatus there. Not voluntary, but you know, life happens sometimes. Life happens. We all have things going on in our life. So, but I am alive and well and very energized to be back. You know, it's interesting when you spend so much of your time in life doing one thing and then you can't do it for whatever reason, you miss it so much. What's up? Yeah, and I can Terry, what's up, brother? One of my longtime supporters. Glad to see you in the live stream. I'm going to throw you a couple emojis here. Glad to see you in here, but it's you know, something I'm real passionate about is charting. So when, you know, there's a period of time, extended period of time, even if it's a couple days where I can't chart, you know, I'm getting real anxious. Like I need to get back at the charts, right? Because I love doing this stuff. By the way, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, even the Instagram for some motivational lifting stuff, as well as some charting stuff. If I ever get back on TradingView, it's one word. It's Crypto Bull God. Guys, exciting news. Don't know if you saw my tweet earlier today. I got some exciting, funny news going on in my life. I have a gated community. I didn't like the idea that when people come to the gate to get access, when visitors come, if I get food being delivered or something like that, they have to look up my physical name. I'm not excited about that. So I reached out to the community manager to ask what we could do to rectify that situation. YC, what's up, brother? Too many bear posts on Twitter. Yeah, the Tweeterverse is, yeah, it's, we're going to get into Bitcoin. I'm going to give you a heavy dose of Bitcoin because Bitcoin's going to kind of establish the overall tone of the overall market. You're damn right I sound good because I feel fantastic to be back. But anyway, back to the funny news real quick before we get into the charts. So I said, what can we do to rectify this situation? And they said, well, we could give you another name. So I said, great, change my name to CBG. People have to look me up as CBG. And they say it needs to be 5 characters. I was like, what could I do to be 5 characters? I know, Bitcoin. So now when you come to get permission to see me, you just look up Bitcoin. And there I am in the directory. So that'll give people a few chuckles too. People who come up to the guest spot, I'm sure I'm going to get miscellaneous dials now that I think about this. But when people go down the directory, they're going to see Bitcoin. And that's going to be me. So that is fucking fantastic. But it feels great to be back. 3 Musketeers. First time live. I'm learning lots from you, though. That is what energizes me. You want to know why I sound as energized as I feel? A large part of that is because I love spreading knowledgeable content and helping other people out. Thank you for giving me the positive feedback. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. What I want to do is I want to spend a good amount of time. I was trying to think about what would be the most beneficial thing for you, okay? If you're tuning in live, you're spending your time, which is the most valuable resource that we have in life. You're choosing to spend a little bit of time with me to understand what's going on in crypto. And so I asked myself, okay, what do I think is the most value-added thing that I could do for my community? And I think the most value-added thing I can do for my community is to give you my honest assessment in terms of where price action currently is at on Bitcoin, what I believe will pan out, and what would actually give me cause for concern or pause, some serious pause, that Bitcoin might not reach new all-time highs this year, and maybe we're going to bleed into the early part of next year. Because nothing has been invalidated in terms of this Wave 5 movement that I'm still anticipating. But I feel like that is the most value-added proposition that I could provide to you. Because again, Bitcoin's going to be the driver of all the value in this market. If Bitcoin is not doing well, the rest of the market's not going to do well. If Bitcoin has a blow off top at $150,000, that's going to be a lot better there's going to be a lot more money for your altcoins to run higher than if Bitcoin tops out at $90,000, okay? So let's have an honest conversation about what is going on with the current price action in Bitcoin. Now, the chart that I want to start with, let me get off price data and the watch list. The first chart that I want to start with, and you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bitcoin charts that we're going to get through. Thumbs up for everyone new tuning in. The first chart that I want to start with here is the 12-hour chart, okay? Red is always resistance, green is support, okay? Now, what I have circled here, I want to clearly explain what is being displayed here, all right? We have the purple 50 simple moving average, and we have the pink 200 simple moving average, okay? The historical significance behind the 200 simple moving average and these golden crosses, okay, when both moving averages are moving up, I've exhausted that conversation. If you've been here for a while and you pay attention to my content, you know what I'm talking about. This is a significant development when this started to occur and we got the golden cross up, right? Now, there's a couple things going on in this chart that I want to speak to. First off, we have a lot of price action that's beginning to hover. It's what the blue circle is indicating here. It's indicating a little bit more than that, but we'll get into what I mean by that. But price action right now is gravitating towards the 200 simple moving average. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to be concerned about. We've seen this in the past. We're going to take a look at it. The other thing that we see is we see some downward resistance here, okay? What I need to see, ultimately, is for price to break this downward resistance, come back to around 28,200 and continue up. We have to break the downward resistance. The other important thing to point out on this chart, what we do not want to see on this 12-hour chart, it would not be good from a historical context. It would give me reason to pause that we're really going to see new all-time highs this year in Bitcoin. If we get a death cross, it's not just the death cross, but if this 50 starts to significantly decrease below the 200, I don't mean glide around it and maybe slightly go under it. I could care less about that. But you see that the 50 is starting to decline. You see the level of decline in the 50 is down, and we have a significant cross. And the other development on the chart is we do this. And we start to really deviate. Now we get lower lows and lower highs. Okay, that is reason for concern. And it's not reason for concern on a higher time frame that the entire chart is broken and we're heading towards 10,000. No. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that would put into serious doubt for me that we're really going to create new all-time highs this year, just being realistic. Now, the other reason that I have this circled is I want to take you back to a moment in time. If you haven't been here before, if you weren't here at this point, I would like to take you back to a moment in time I continue to reference that I believe current price action has been very similar to for me. And I've constantly reiterated on this late September 2020 price area. If we go back in time, okay, remember the view here. Check out the view. You see how price action currently looks here. If we go back to September 2020, the thing I would like to point out to you, look what happened. Price gravitated towards this 200 simple moving average, and we rode this thing we looked at this earlier, we rode this thing for a month. We rode the 200 simple moving average for a month. Doesn't mean we need to do the same thing again, but this is what we did, and we had this, look at this descending resistance, and we didn't really see a huge breakout until we broke this black descending line of resistance. You can see the 50 came all the way down here. It got super close to the 200 SMA, but it flattened out, and we never had a death cross. This is what we want to see in terms of structure moving forward, right? We want to see something very similar play out, okay? Ideally, what we want to see is we want to see a gradual recovery in price, and then we want to see a significant escalation in price sooner rather than later, and we're going to get into that. But essentially, we can ride this thing. Price can continue to do this. It can continue to do this for a little longer going into June, but at some point, we need to deviate and begin making significant progress on a move up, okay? So that is what to watch for. So again, my general sense on what is going on right now and what I'm reading in the charts, this isn't a feeling, an emotional feeling. It's just based on what I'm seeing in the chart. And we're going to get into a few other charts that are telling me that, confirming why I feel the way I feel. To further validate it. Right now, this is, to me, is presenting a massive buying opportunity. Until proven otherwise and something significantly breaks down, right now, to me, is a significant buying opportunity. And the last chart will also sort of cap on that. This, I also think it's important to zoom out and keep a perspective that when we've had these parabolic runs up, it's not all about price just massively going up in value. If you have an asset that has the prospect, it's a volatile asset, it has the prospect of appreciating largely in value, that's going to come with large upswings and large downswings and large wave movements, right? So I wanted to illustrate that here. If we go back to 2016 and 17, look at, again, if you weren't here, I was not invested at this point. We had an 88% move followed by a 40% decline, a 100% move followed by a 34% decline, a 35% decline, a 156% move, a 38% decline, and a 386% move. So you can see in these cases we had 40% corrections on our way up, right? If you go back to 2020 and 2021, look, 41% move up, 21% move down, 290% move up, a 31% movement down, and 100% move up. If we go back to the current time, after our first move up here, this was only a 22.5% correction, 40% move up. So far, we've had a 17% correction, guys. Keep things in perspective. We haven't had a 30% correction or a 40% correction. We have had a 17% correction. One of the problems in this space is impatience, okay? A lot of people, I love Twitter. I love this, okay? And this is not a political vote, okay? But I loved the idea of a political candidate going on Twitter Spaces. I love Twitter in general. I love this space, okay? This space can be very challenging in certain ways if you don't have your emotions harnessed. If you feed into a lot of these tweets, you can lose perspective that we literally just underwent a 17% correction. This is nothing. This is nothing. We just took a look at history and saw corrections that were beyond 20, 30, 40% corrections on a move up towards our parabolic journey of all-time highs, guys. Keep perspective. This is the value that I feel I can bring you today to keep you level-headed, okay? The next chart that I want to take a look at, let's have an honest conversation, as we always do, about what needs to happen, what needs to really happen realistically to see new all-time highs this year. This is just a fractal of a pattern back here. That's all this is, and it's just illustrating the general direction of what my current expectations for price are, right? But the question we need to ask ourselves is, when does it become appropriate to reevaluate our thought process on new all-time highs based on emerging price data, right? The dumbest thing you can do as a data scientist, as a chartist, whatever you want to call someone like this, it's all the same thing. It's the same thing at work, okay? The dumbest thing you can do for somebody who is evaluating data is to come up with a hypothesis, come up with an educated guess, because that's what it is, based on a historical context. And as emerging price data comes in, put on blinders and say, I'm not paying attention to that. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I've already formulated my conclusion, and so I don't care what's going on current price data. That's the dumbest thing you can do. That's called being stubborn. So what we have to do, because we're very, very intelligent and we have common sense on this channel, is at some point, if the idea of creating new all-time highs for Bitcoin becomes invalidated, we have to ask ourselves, when do we start to feel like an invalidation occurs? And that is what I'm going to share with you right now. May can come in, unless if we have a huge red candle, which I'm not anticipating. May can come in however the hell it wants to come in. We can come in anywhere between 25,000 roughly. 25,000 and 29,000, I could care less. June is a big month for me. Okay? June is a very big month for me. If June comes in as a pussy of a month, okay, and it's some little rinky-dink candle, we have to really ask ourselves, how likely is it from July? Are we really going to have some sort of monumental escalation in price from July to December? I need to see something material come in for June, okay? If we see some sort of sideways bullshit in June, it's going to begin to creep into my mind. Not even creep into my mind, but what's going to happen is it's going to put some serious doubt into my head that, okay, nothing fundamentally, let's just for the sake of conversation so I can illustrate this. Let's say that the month of June, let's say we look like this for June and July. Okay, let's do 2 months here. Let's say for June and July, we sort of look like this. Okay, look at these 2 green lines. I'll change the colors right here. Let's say we look like this, okay? We bounce up to 35, we reject, and we're sitting at 28, okay? So this is the month of June and July. We really have to ask ourselves the likelihood that if we're sitting at like $30,000 in July, what is the likelihood that in the next like 5 months, we're going to shoot up past $70,000 and break 100,000 towards like 120 or 130? Doesn't seem very realistic, okay? So we need to be very adaptive, very flexible, very nimble in terms of how the emerging price data comes out. I never tell you on this channel, I never tell you on this channel what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you on this channel what I see in the data, okay? Nothing has invalidated itself for Bitcoin to create new all-time highs this year. But if June comes in as a pussy of a month and we don't see some serious price action to the upside, it's going to begin to put serious doubt into my head. But what would that actually mean? Does that mean we're going to be waiting until 2025 for new all-time highs? No, that is not what I'm saying either. What that would mean for me is this is going to... I'm still waiting for a wave 5 movement. So for me, I would still be looking for something in early 2024. We'd have to assess again how the next several months play out. But if June starts coming in weak and then July's a little weak, well, now I'm pushing this off until like the first half of 2024, right? And that's just being realistic about it. So this month, how we close is important. It is important how we close this month. We want to check out the price indicators. We want to see what the MACD, is doing. I need to take a harder look at the RSI on the monthly and update you on that when we get a close on the monthly in May, as well as the stochastic RSI. The momentum is very important, so we're going to take a look at that. But June is going to be a very important month. Have I not repeated myself about 10 times at this point? So that's my honest view. Now, something else I want to point out is everyone's talking about this head and shoulders. I have pointed out, let's not focus on the price indicators at first. I have pointed out that there is a valid, okay, we can draw this even a little tighter. I have pointed out that at the moment, there is a valid falling wedge. Doesn't need to play out. This doesn't need to play out. But if it does, you would get some sort of at least an initial jump in price. You measure approximately from the bottom to the top. At the point of breakout, let's say we break out here at the beginning of June. So you'd at least get an initial bounce up towards $30,000, over $30,000. But I at least want to point out to you that while on your Twitter feed, on the Twitter feed, we'll get to the, Chris, I see your comment on the bull flag. I'll take a look at that in a moment. Actually, that's the next chart up is the weekly because I want to spend a moment talking about that as well. By the way, start dropping your TA questions in the comments because I have no altcoins that I was set to cover today. I can cover some altcoins. I'm very happy to. The most important thing for me is to level set you on where Bitcoin is at because there's a lot of negativity that is going around Twitter. And so I want to have an honest conversation with you in terms of what's going on with the price action. This is a falling wedge. Everyone's talking about the head and shoulders. I've acknowledged the head and shoulders. I have a smart audience. Someone came out and spoke to the head and shoulders on this channel, which we spoke about live. But so far has not panned out. There is a falling wedge. The other thing I want to point out here is there's negative divergence. You can see as price was going higher on the 2-day, the RSI is going lower. I want to see eventually this negative RSI divergence break and be invalidated. But the other thing I want to point out, it could be a leading indicator to tell us potentially this could be the catalyst to lead to that invalidation, of the negative divergence, we have a falling wedge. Just like on price data, you can draw price patterns, okay, like falling wedges in this case. I have a falling wedge drawn here. We also can draw falling wedges on price indicators like an RSI. So in this case, if we do start to break up, the RSI breaks up, we could see a bump up in the RSI towards this negative resistance. We could see a bump up in price, and then it's just going to be, you know, show me what you got, Bitcoin. Can we ultimately break out above this descending resistance here and start breaking out towards 32, 35,000? So something to watch for. Now, I don't know that I see a bull flag here, Chris, to be honest with you. I mean, well, let's talk about something that I wasn't planning on talking about at first. Since I was asked the question, I think it's a good question. Let me change the time frame. You know, let me just say this before I chart this. Different chartists, everybody's different. I'm not saying the pattern is invalidated. Sometimes you need a different time frame to sort of wrap your head around a price pattern or whether it's valid or not. For me, what I see, and it's a lot cleaner. It looks like it's cleaner on the 2-week. It's cleaner on the 2-week. I wonder what the 10-day looks like. It's cleaner on the 2-week. Actually, Chris, what I would say is, I mean, you could be right. Let me see here. What I see is a pole there, a pennant there, okay, a pennant there. We broke out of it. You're correct. We broke out of it. Okay. Now we have another pennant. I mean, you can draw that a couple different ways. You could really just draw a straight line up here, but I'll draw it there for the sake of conversation. You know what? I don't disagree with you. Chris, you got a good eye, my friend. I did not spot this before you did. I didn't chart this out before you shared it with me. And this is why I value the community. I love this shit. Like, I love when you guys come to me with, even if you're incorrect with what you're showing me, or even if I disagree, I love healthy debate. This is valid. There is a bull pennant here, Chris. Chris, you need to join the live streams more. You need to be vocal in the comments here. Clearly, you add value, so hopefully you will be back in future iterations. Now, if we draw the technical breakout target, that would put us, you know, somewhere up, and then depends on when we break out, but it would put us up towards like 36,000. Chris, you got a good eye, my friend. There's a bull pennant on, I would call it the 2-week instead of the weekly. I think it looks cleaner to me. Let's spend a little bit of time on the weekly chart. There was something I wanted to speak to on the weekly, and this, you know, of all the charts I've spoken to, I don't know that you could say that any one chart, I don't think you could say any one chart is more important than the other. I think that they all help to fit together to create the narrative that I'm attempting to communicate to you. But this chart is invaluable. This chart is absolutely invaluable. If you go back, I haven't had much time to tweet today. I've been swamped at work trying to catch up on work. I've been out the past 3 days, and I have a project due at the end of the month. And I've been very, very busy. Not bad, just very busy. Feeling very productive, which is a good thing. Look at my tweet here. Here's another high-level, no-brainer observation. Okay, you guys don't even need a chart in front of you, all right? Bitcoin is sitting right on the weekly 200 simple moving average. Historically, this has been a monumental buying opportunity, okay? This is where price action is at right now. This is the 200 simple moving average. We're sitting right there, okay? Here, you're correct. We broke below it. We went even further historically than we've ever gone. You can see how much further we went below, but given that we never went that low before, that should tell you that it might present an incredible buying opportunity. Here, right on it. Here, right on it. Here, right on it. So any time that we've gone on the 200 simple moving average historically, it has represented an incredible buying opportunity. So if nothing else, even if we hadn't looked at these other 4 charts, this should tell you that there are more chances than not. And I'm not talking about buying Bitcoin today and expecting a 50% return tomorrow. I'm talking about investing. Holding your investment for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I'm talking about an extended period of time, okay? If you buy at this level, historically, it's telling you it's a significant buying opportunity. Think about if I'm not making my point clear enough to you and it's not really resonating with you, and you're like, I get it, but I don't get it. I was here for this, and I was salivating. This is when everyone was talking about the hyperwave. Bitcoin was going to $1,000. Okay, if you don't know what the hyperwave is, you weren't here in 2018 and 19. Okay, what the hell is that guy's name? The creator of the hyperwave actually passed away. I have nothing bad to say about him. He was a really nice guy. Jenkins, he was a really nice guy. Tony Voss, or whatever the hell his name is. Guy with the, he's maximalist. Anyway, think about if you bought Bitcoin here and you just held it. Okay, at the 200 weekly moving average. We were sitting at $3,200. Bitcoin was at $3,200. I remember this very well. Why do I remember this very well? Well, I remember it very well for many, many, many reasons. But I remember I was encouraging my family to get into Bitcoin. My ex-girlfriend to get into Bitcoin. This was, I'll never forget, a funny story about my ex. I used to live with her. I put a fake Bitcoin. She had like sitting on like the core or whatever. She had like a travel fund case, and she would just put like money in there. It was just something cute to do, right? So I took a Bitcoin and I dropped it in there. And I was like, that's right. Now is the time to buy. I think anyone who's dated me for a significant period of time, if they're not I've never dated anyone that's been a crypto person, at some point gets sick of my crypto talk. But to be expected, I'm a little passionate about this space. But the point is, if you had bought in $3,000, Christ Almighty, you could have ridden this thing up. Even if you sold at $40,000 or $50,000, you more than 10x'd your money, right? So I'm just saying, and that was only a few years ago. We're in 2023. This is 4 years later, guys. That's 4 years for your investment. And think about it, really. We topped out in this area. This was really, you want to talk about 2 years later. For your investment to do a 20x in 2 years, you're not going to find many investments that are going to give you a 20x in 2 years, guys. You got to be realistic, okay? So if you hold on to this thing, it'd be funny to look back on this video. I have too many live streams. Tone Vase, yes. Don't need to give him any recognition, but that guy's a fucking ass clown. But anyway, also have an inverse head and shoulders here, by the way. We should probably talk about that. But if you hold this thing for 3, 4, 5 years, history tells you at 20, even though price seems high to some people, it's just a USD value. It's not a market capitalization value, and fundamentally what the narrative is for this asset and what it's going after. This thing, Bitcoin isn't even a $1 trillion asset. It's not even $1 trillion. Look up the market capitalization of a lot of stock companies, okay? History says that if you buy right now at $26,400, and obviously, hopefully everyone here is familiar. Tyler Jenks, yes, very nice guy. History says even if you can just start purchasing fractions, that at 26,000, 4, 5, 6, 7 years out from now, when this thing is well over $100,000 and you've had the opportunity to 10x or 20x your money and it's gone a couple $100,000, history would say this would be an opportune time to buy. Now, let's take a look at the inverse head and shoulders, break of neckline, because that's something that I wasn't planning on covering, but now that I'm looking at it, we should probably at least have a conversation about it. I forget if we spoke about it or not. Here is that now, a head and shoulders pattern is a bearish pattern. A head and shoulders pattern is where you got the head, you got the two shoulders, okay, and then you have a breakdown measured by the base of the two shoulders up to the top of the head, and then you take the same and move it down, okay? But an inverse head and shoulders is exactly how it sounds. It's the same formation, but it's flipped upside down. It's inverse, and it's a bullish pattern, okay? We're in the upside down world, Stranger Things. One of my favorite shows. Cannot wait for that to come back in like the year 2027. Next season's good. I read that. I don't know if you guys read. Stranger Things is tentatively slated, season 5, the final season, is slated for the end of 2024. if CBG has not accomplished his financial goals by the end of 2024, CBG has been very unsuccessful at investing. I have some very serious life goals, and if I haven't hit them by the end of 2024, I am going to be beyond monumentally disappointed. But I don't think about that. I just think about success because I believe in myself, and every person here should believe in yourself, no matter what adversity you have been through life. If someone else has done it, why the hell can't you do it? You should be able to even do it better. So that's my viewpoint. You got two shoulders here. You can see them very clearly, okay? Yeah, I never want to say that out loud again if I'm not successful. I'm going to be successful. Every person here is going to be successful. You have to, told my brother the other day, it sounds corny, but, well, it wasn't the other day. It's probably a couple weeks ago. But I told him, I said, it might sound corny, but I believe what you speak out loud and what you think inside your head, oftentimes I really think that you manifest that. So in other words, if you tell yourself, if you look in the mirror, you think like, I'm not the prettiest, or I'm not the most attractive, or I'm not the smartest, or some, well, then that's always who you're going to be. You know, but if you look in the mirror and you feel confident with yourself, and you're like, you know what, I look good, I feel good about myself. You know what, I am smart, and I've accomplished a lot in life. You know what, I do believe in this life goal, and I can do this, and I will do this. If you believe those things, you can manifest it. That is my belief. It's been the story of my life. I've accomplished way too much in life not to believe that. And that's, I say that in a humble way. I don't say that in an arrogant way, but I've accomplished a lot. And I wouldn't have been able to do that unless if I had a positive mindset. That goes a long way. So you can see that you have a head and you have two shoulders, okay? So right now, all it looks like we're doing is, yeah, we're just coming close to this neckline here as I was being instructed. Yeah, I'm not going to draw it exact, but it looks like 25,200 about. So who knows? You know, maybe the $25,000 calls will end up being correct. I mean, technically, we went down to 25,000. Went down to 25,800. Maybe we bounce right around this area and then continue moving up. Now, where would be the technical target, right? Now, when I say technical target, in this case, what I'm referring to is the technical target is just the measured move. Right there with you, my friend. Love it. I'm glad you joined the live stream. I haven't seen you in a bit, so I'm happy to see you on here. When I say the measured move, that doesn't mean that I am implying, I'm going to show you what the measured move is and then explain. I want everyone to understand this because I don't think everyone really gets this point. It's approximately this. We're not going to be specific, all right? We're going to be close enough. The measured move takes us up to past 40,000 up towards 42, okay? Around $41,000, okay? That doesn't mean that the measured move is telling us Bitcoin is going up to 41,000, it's topped, it's all over, and now we're going a lot lower. No. All that's telling us is this formation that has presented itself in the chart is implying there's a statistical likelihood, not a certainty, there's a statistical likelihood that there will be an initial move to around 41,000. Now at that point, based on other fundamentals in the chart, yes, the chart, that could be it. It could be a dead cat bounce and we could go a lot lower and just go down here, or we could get a correction and then just continue riding higher. But it's just telling us the initial measured move. So now it would be beautiful if this pattern would play out next month. We just spoke about the importance of June, in my opinion. We need June to be a very good month, okay? So it would be incredible, hypothetically, if we shot up to $42,000 in June and maybe closed around 38 or 37,000, right? That would be significant and something to watch for. Yeah, I don't follow I trust you too, BCK. I don't follow longs and shorts that much. I don't follow leveraged positions or longs or long or short contracts. But sometimes I catch tidbits of information based on what people tweet and share photos and things like that. But you can get the general sentiment on Twitter. I also haven't checked the Bitcoin crypto, the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. I haven't looked at that in quite some time. You can get a market gauge there. But right now, the thing with this community, as much as I love the crypto community, the one thing that annoys me, just as somebody who's very level-headed, I mean, again, I know I can be corny and silly, and that's just my personality, but at the end of the day, I'm extremely grounded and logical. The thing that bothers me is that there's just a lot of impatience. And when you're impatient in this market, you're either going to get your ass handed to you or you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity. And so I was just telling someone I was on the phone with earlier today that, to be honest with you, coming on a live stream like this during market conditions like this is very challenging because the engagement is so low. I have to really think about how I want my content to come across so that it's as engaging as possible because sentiment is so low. And then you get 1 week. All you get is 1 week like this, or a couple weeks like this, and then exuberance and excitement comes back into the market, and then there's a lot higher engagement. I just wish that to some degree the emotions were a little bit more leveled off and people were still not as excited as back here, but just a little bit more excitement in the market and just a little bit more grounded in analytics over emotions. But that's just human nature, I suppose. The other thing while we're stuck on this chart here, and I don't know if anybody has any TA questions for me. If not, I was just going to keep it Bitcoin related. I will be back tomorrow. By the way, for tomorrow's live stream, I don't know what time I'm going to live stream because quite honestly, I have plans for the weekend. I don't have any plans on Friday. I'm going to stay in. So I might live stream at the same time, around 5 o'clock. I might do 5 o'clock or I might do something earlier in the day. So just make sure you click the bell icon if you can join me live. The other interesting thing here I'm just noting, and it falls into the earlier comment that Chris had. And thank you again, Chris, for bringing this up. Yes, we are in a bull pennant, and I looked at that on the 2 week. That's valid. We're also in a falling wedge here. Just notice that right now. You can see that we have a wide base and it's getting narrow. It doesn't need to play out, but I've looked at two different time frames, the weekly and I looked at the 2-day, that we're in this falling wedge pattern. So just something to be aware of. I'm not telling you, I feel like I've given you very unbiased, fair views of all these charts. I'm not telling you that the head and shoulders can't play out. We can't go down to $23,000. But it's my opinion it's not happening. It's just not going to happen. It's certainly a possibility. And I've told you what to watch for on the 12-hour and why right now there's nothing alarming about the 12-hour, but what we need to watch for. I've shared with you the level of the corrections is actually less than what we've seen in the past, and it's nothing alarming. I've shared with you how important the month of June is and when we may want to reassess the likelihood that we'll see new all-time highs in Bitcoin this year. And when we may need to deviate from that thought process and say, well, maybe this is really going to come in early 2024. And again, I guess the last thought I would leave you with before I open it up to you, just to make sure you don't have any charting questions, if at the end of the day, and remember, your altcoins, this is based on history, your altcoins are going to top after Bitcoin, month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months, okay? If the worst case scenario to you is, my main hypothesis is wrong, and Bitcoin doesn't top in October, November, December. It just doesn't happen. And it ends up topping in April or March. It front runs the halving. It's a sell the news event like I believe it's going to be. And we top in April. Let's just say April for the sake of conversation. If there's a 4 or 5 month delay in your assets going 10, 20, 30, 40 or more X in value, what is the big fucking deal, really? I think the only thing that would be hard for me to wrap my head around and accept, I would have to accept it. The one thing that would be hard for me to accept is, wow, we're not going to get, looks like the way the charts are developing, we may never see all-time highs until 2025 or later. That would be hard to accept. That would be very hard to accept. But again, there's a range of possibilities for everything. But again, there's nothing at the moment. There is nothing at the moment that is deviating me from my main hypothesis of new all-time highs this year. So with that being said, I want to say again, thank you for joining the live stream. It feels great to be back. I was trying to think of some words of inspiration at the end of this live stream that I was going to share with you based on recent events. Nothing's really hitting me other than to say, if anybody has any TA questions, I'm going to be signing off in a minute. I guess the one thing I would say, I always got something to say. One thing I would share with you that I think would be important no matter what age you are. I know my demographic very well. I know most people joining this live stream are right around my age. I don't have a lot of people in their 20s. I have a lot of people in their 30s. I have some people in their 40s and even 50s, but a lot of people in their 30s and even 40s. And I would say to you, more and more the older I get, do not take this with a grain of salt. Really take this to heart. You really need to appreciate what you have in life, and you need to appreciate really every day for what it is. And you need to appreciate the people around you because like things happen. Life can change very quickly. It really can. And I think some of you will hear that and it'll mean something to you, and some of you may hear that and scoff at it or go in one ear and out the other. And sometimes it just takes a life experience or two to go through to make you realize that. But there are certain life events you go through where it really causes you to pause, self-reflect on things, as well as think about other things as well. So just make sure that I'm a planner. By nature, I'm a planner, okay? I'm always planning for the future, and I think that's important. You need to do that. It's imperative to plan, okay? But at the same time, make sure you're living in the moment and appreciating what you have, because things can change in a heartbeat, literally. So just make sure you're doing that as well to the best of your abilities. So, all right, cool. That's all I had today. If there are no altcoin questions, I know there's nothing exciting really going on. So when there's a little bit more exuberance, I'm anticipating 5,000 altcoin questions. Yeah, market's looking how the market's going. So. By the way, for next week, I had indicated, and I'm actually thinking about this more, I had indicated on the 31st about potentially doing a month end 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time candle close. We'll see how that day goes for me. Wednesday's going to be a pretty long day for me. I have a lot going on that day. I'll just leave it at that. So I don't know if I'm going to be up for live streaming that late. That's late for me because of how early I get up. So we'll see. But either way, we will discuss the monthly close because it's going to be an important one on either 8 p.m. on the 31st or normal scheduled time on Thursday. Yeah, so Mohammed, glad to see you in here. Never seen you before. But I will say, never did a TA video on that, so you must have me considered with a false prophet, a false bull god out there, because I've never done a video on that token before in my life, and I'm not familiar with the project. So, all right, guys, I appreciate everyone who's returned in. I've appreciated the new viewers like Chris who add value to the channel. Keep coming, keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy those who you're with. And I will see you, I don't know when, tomorrow. Click on the bell icon for notifications. And if you want to give me a follow on Twitter, I try to give you guys an advance notice of when I'm going to go live as well. So take care, everyone. Make sure you spread this video with at least one person. Share it with one person. Spread awareness and carry the education forward. Sayonara.